So fast forward, after you find out, I'm sure this is with every situation, after you find out that something is wrong with your child, you have a appointment to speak with an actual specialist. So this probably, and I'm gonna put the dates on there. I should have had already had the dates, but I'm gonna put the dates on the screen because we met with CHOA, which is Children's Hospital of Atlanta, and Dr. Watson, two of his nurses, a sonogram tech. Like, we met with all of their staff on this day. The appointment was at like 7 in the morning because they had to do so much that day. They were doing so many tests. They were, you know, just verifying that he does have that heart defect. And we had to be there pretty early. So my mother, mind you, this is still before COVID, so I found out February 20th. So all of this, because I think COVID hit like March 16th, no, March 13th, I don't know, but it was like the beginning of March. So all of this was right before COVID hit. So we got down there. It was probably about 30 minutes from our house. We met my mom in the parking garage. We prayed before we walked in there. We went in, did all of our paperwork and everything, and then they called us back. So mind you, this is like half doctors, half hospital, the actual like hospital. So we went back. They did a sonogram. They were taking sonogram pictures of him. And again, they're like, his heart sounds amazing. Like, he doesn't, typically when kids have rare heart defects and heart defects to this extreme, they have heart murmurs. Harley didn't have anything. Like, he didn't have anything. So they got back there, they took pictures, and this was just, like I said, to verify what they said he had, just tell us that he has it. So they took our pictures, and they called us into this meeting room, and this is when we met Dr. Watson. So he went over, he's like, yeah, what they said, he does have hypoplastic right heart. He explained the surgeries to us. But when I say I am so grateful for this man, again, a black man, a black cardiologist. When we got in there, he said, I'm gonna break this down to y'all. He had diagrams of what a perfect normal heart looked like, what Harley's heart looked like. He had paperwork on it. He had just the big words, like the information I didn't get at my high-risk doctor, or the cardiologist that was at my high-risk doctor. He broke everything down. He explained that every heart kit is different. Every heart kit comes with a different defect. Although that Harley's heart was underdeveloped, and he had a couple of valves that was in the heart that was not connected at all, his heart created a passage, a small hole that his heart created to basically connect the blood flow from his lungs to everywhere else. When I say I was mind blown, because how can something that just a couple of weeks ago we just went in there, he's gonna have to have heart surgery, open heart surgery as soon as he's born, to this little bitty heart. When I say I gave everything to God, me and Wayne gave everything to God, Harley's little heart created a small hole that was because his blood flow, that's technically what it is. It's a surgery. You're gonna have to do multiple surgeries. So his first surgery is to connect the blood flow from the upper half of his body to his heart, and then the second surgery is from the lower half of his body to his heart. And then in some cases, which would be the fourth surgery, people would need a whole heart transplant. So he basically told us, like, he may or may not need surgery as soon as you have him. That hole can either get smaller, it can get bigger, but it's doing what it's supposed to do right now for him in the womb. We're not worried about him in the womb. Our main concern for Harley is when he comes out and what we need to do after that. When I say he put us at ease, like, we left out of that doctor's appointment laughing. Like, I just felt like, thank you, something other than he's gonna have to have heart surgery, this, that. Like, he's just like, don't look it up on social media. Don't look it up on Google, because every situation is completely different, and nobody's situation is like Harley's. They're not gonna have that on social media. They're not gonna say like how rare his is and how, he may not need surgery. It's gonna be the most extreme thing, because it also is a hypoplastic left heart. Told us, you know what, we're not gonna worry about it right now. We know what he has. We know he's fine in the womb. We're not gonna worry about it right now. We're just gonna worry about Harley when he gets out. Y'all, I was just like, oh, thank you. Like, it's not the worst situation. His heart could have not made a hole, which we would have automatically known that, yeah, we're having surgery as soon as he get out. Like, I had hope. Like, I'm like I put it in God's hand. He took over the situation, and I just had faith. When we walked out of that disappointment, like I said, my mother was with us. My dad was on the phone, and we was just felt at ease. We were okay with it. And when I say everything, like how I felt at church, everything has just lifted off of me, and I was okay with the situation, because God's not gonna let that little bitty heart create a hole for it to go wrong. Like, I know he's not. I know he has a whole story that Harley is gonna have to tell, that I am gonna have to tell, that is gonna help somebody, because most times when you get situations like that, like that was me and Wayne's first year of marriage. I don't think we hit a year. Yeah, because we found out in February, we learned in March. But that could have broke me, it did kind of break me all the way down. I don't know, I just felt like my lady parts, Wayne's parts, it just let us down. But when we left out of there, I just felt so good. Like, I just knew what we had to do, knew exactly what I was praying for. And we were just praying that, because he did say it was a possibility that once he is delivered in those few days, the hole could close up. But as far as him being in my womb, in the uterus, he was completely fine, because there's no way for the hole to close. So we just felt at ease. I just felt better. Every doctor's appointment after that was just amazing, y'all. And I can't explain how good it was, because we were still in COVID. My husband, nobody could come in the room. My mom, my husband, and it's it's crazy, because my mom ended up going to Dr. C after me, just for her. Basically, she's her OBGYN now, and she has the same nurse practitioner that was there when I was pregnant. And she was just asking my mom, how have I been, since Harley was born, My mom was like, she's great, I'm gonna show you pictures. And she was just explaining to my mom, she was so strong every time she came into the doctor's office. She came in with a smile. I never seen anything I never seen like this. She was going through something so major at a young age. On her face, I will always ask her, are you okay? How are you feeling? Because they were literally like a family to me, because I think because they knew it was so major. But they would always ask me, every time I would come into the doctors, my OBGYN would be like, there goes my baby, oh my God, how are my babies doing? How are y'all feeling today? like everybody would, just make sure I was okay. And she just told my mom that, like, you could never see it on her face that she was going through anything. And I feel like now that people are going to finally, know what I was going through or whatever, they're going to be like, how? And honestly, y'all, when I say it was nothing but God, like, I don't know how. I never, like, once my dad preached that message, I feel like it was for me, because I never cried. I cried one time, but he was already here, because I'm just like, whew, he has to have a surgery. Like, I just don't want that to affect him later on in life. Like, for him to feel like something's wrong with him, because he does everything, like, even more. I just be like, Harley, chill out. Like, it's like he knows, like, nothing is wrong with him. But that, like, when he preached that, I just literally let everything go. I just felt at peace. Even with my gestational diabetes, I knew nothing was wrong, because I had to be monitored for that as well. And I was just at peace. Like, me and Wayne were at peace with everything. Like, it's so crazy, because how could you be, like, I am 25 years old, and my life is about to change. Not only am I about to be a mother, like, my child is sick, and I know this. Like, every doctor's appointment was amazing. Every doctor's appointment, his heart sounded amazing. Like, I was gaining where I was supposed to. Harley was gaining, like, and some heart babies, they don't grow. And it's crazy, because he was a heart baby and I had gestational diabetes. So with heart babies, they don't grow like they're supposed to in some cases, but gestational diabetes, they grow too fast. So I don't know, it was nothing but God. I just literally, like, I was going in there and nothing was wrong with my child, nothing was wrong with me. Like, I just want to come in here, check on my baby, and go. Like, that's how it was. So when we got and I wanted to say this because when COVID hit, I posted, like, a status of just saying how upset I was that, that we were experiencing COVID, and how, like, my mother is not going to be able to see her grandchild, because number one, it was COVID and they weren't letting anybody in. But number two, her first grandchild has a heart defect. She's not able to see him. So if he does have to go through surgery, because remember, it was a possibility, she won't see him for months. Like, cause who knows the recovery time after a major surgery like that for a newborn. So me and my OBGYN, we came up with a whole plan that at first I thought I was gonna have to deliver at Children's Hospital of Atlanta, but they were saying that it was fine. If anything happened, they could flight him to Choa for surgery, because I had him on the south side, so I wouldn't have to change doctors, which I was so grateful for, because I have such a great relationship with my doctor. I didn't want to. So we came up with a whole plan. We were going to try to do natural. And then if anything happened, we had an emergency plan to do a C-section. Or should I say, I was going to try to do natural. But what I meant was we were going to do vaginal. Which we had to verify that first before we could. I just had to make sure I was able to do vaginal, because we didn't want to put any stress on his heart during the delivery process. So we came up with that plan, and I was under the impression, and I knew that if anything happened, we would have to do an emergency C-section. And I feel like up until my day, I prayed, like, I do not want a C-section. I want to be able to at least deliver him vaginal, at least be able to, for it to be a regular, like, this pregnancy has not been regular at all, so just at least for me to feel a little regular at the end of this pregnancy. So I had to be induced because of gestational diabetes. They didn't want him to get any bigger than he was. So I was due May 15th, 2020. And I ended up getting induced Monday morning, May 11th, 2020. Which was, again, the most, like, how can I have the most perfect pregnancy ever and I already got a heart defect? I'm just like, but most perfect pregnancy, most perfect delivery. I went in at 6 centimeters. When I got in, I was 6 centimeters, and I think my active labor was probably only 5 hours. But, and I told Wayne, I said, it didn't hurt that the contractions was going on. I just couldn't stand up and walk through them because they had which they always monitor the baby's heart rate, but they were monitoring both our heart rates, and every time I would stand up, she wasn't able to monitor it, so I had to lay down the entire time. So like I stated in my delivery, my delivering during COVID, I did get the epidural, and our plan was, like I said, we were planning to do it vaginal, but I knew as soon as I had Harley, a team of doctors were going to take him out and going to do tests on him just to make sure, you know, to see if he was able to go immediately home with us after, you know, after I recover at the hospital, or if he was going to have to go straight to surgery. We had so many doctors during my delivery inside. I don't know if it was just a regular thing or if it was because he was a heart baby. But as soon as I pushed him out, they let Wayne see him, and then they brought him over to me. They laid him on me for, y'all, it was probably like 5 seconds. So I delivered him at 8 o'clock on the dot, 8 o'clock. He was probably in there until about 8, I want to say 8, like 20. And he went straight to the NICU. So they could do all of their cardiologists, like the cardiologist can do tests on him. And I did not see him again until 12. A team of cardiologists from CHOA, they go back and forth from CHOA to each hospital just so they know, especially if they already know they have a heart baby being delivered, so they can do their tests and checkups on the child. So they were already there, and they came in. It was 2 men, and they were just asking me, like, because this is right after, like, I pushed him out. This was probably about, it wasn't even that long. It was probably like 9:30, because I ended up having to stay in a room for a minute, just for a minute, I guess. Oh, because my heart rate was extremely high. So they had to monitor me. They had to do like an EKG on me up until that. I had to stay there until about, I want to say like 10:30, 11. So they were just asking me, is everything good? You know, everything fine? And I'm like, yep. Look, I just want to know information about my baby. That's all I want to know. So they ended up telling me, like, he looks amazing. Y'all, I bawled. I'm like, from day one of me finding out that this boy has a heart defect, he has been a fighter. Like, he has just beat the odds. Like, what? From me finding out that he has a heart defect and the doctor telling me he's gonna have to go straight into surgery, open heart surgery at a day old, like, what? That is ridiculous. So they were saying he was just doing completely fine. He was okay. They're gonna monitor him for a little bit more, and they're gonna bring him into my next room so he could be with me, but he should be he should be okay going home. They were just telling me that you know, about my follow-up appointment, all of that information, just follow-up appointment and this and that. But as far as Harley Dwayne Owens, he was good, he was okay, his oxygen levels was amazing. And I was just like, like, does he have the heart defect or not? Does he, like, what? My doctor kept checking on me. My OBGYN, she kept checking on me, and she's just like, I checked on our boy. He is, like, his heartbeat sounds amazing. Like, I just don't understand. It's just that I had to keep asking them, like, y'all gonna let him go home with her? Like, it just seems too good to be true. And every time she would say something like that, I'm just like I put it in God's hands. We put it in God's hands. Like, I can't do nothing but thank God. Because what they don't, like, for a doctor to tell you that he sounds amazing, for a doctor to tell you that he's doing great, he's going home with you, this same baby that you were told a couple of months ago was gonna have to have open heart surgery as soon as he was born, he went home. Like, and I was kind of thankful during COVID, because I'm like, I didn't want to tell people right away, but if he was gonna have to have surgery, they were gonna be asking, why is he not home? So I was thankful for COVID, because I'm like, nobody has to know that I had him. Nobody has to know that he's, you know, in the hospital. But when they say he can go home, man, that was just, we was just so happy, because it was regular. Like, all of this weird information, all of this unfortunate information, all of this information that just made the whole process, like, crazy. It's like, I get to have, like, I get to my baby to come in the room with me, for them to do regular tests on him, for him to pass his test, for us to pack our bag and go home. Like, I was just so thankful. Like any regular baby or normal baby, whatever you want to call it, they have their, I think it's a 2-day checkup. So we had to do a 2-day checkup for his pediatrician, and then we had to do a checkup with the cardiologist, which was basically like our first appointment with our cardiologist. That was going to be like his regular cardiologist. We met with him, and honestly, our appointment was every week. We met with the same cardiologist every week. They listened to his heartbeat, did his oxygen levels. At some appointments we did EKGs on his heart. It was probably like, so if I seen him 1 week, the next week we would do EKG. 1 week would be fine, next week EKG. We were doing EKGs, his weight checkup, check-ins, all of that, because I don't know if I stated earlier, with hypoplastic right heart, it controls like the oxygen levels. So which would be like a normal baby would have like a 98 to 100. So a 98 to 100 is a normal oxygen level for a baby. For a heart baby, which has hypoplastic right or left heart or whatever heart disease, the oxygen levels can be pretty low. So his normal oxygen levels, like right now, would be like at between like a 85 to 90. But they give it 75 to 100 technically. But when he was a baby, and that heart was, that hole that he created when he was like first born, that first month and a half, 2 months, he was at like 97, 96. When I say we were getting like good reports every single time we went to the doctor, he sounds amazing, he's growing. Harley was 8 pounds and 9 ounces. When I say they were shocked, like he was growing, he's eating his foods. Every time I would go to the doctor, they would have to tell me like, make sure you don't see like blue lips, or he's not spitting up and he's eating his food, he's digesting his food. Like Harley he didn't have nothing, like nothing was going on with him. Nothing was, like, when I say nothing, we were literally going to the heart doctor for a regular checkup. Every time he was like, he sounds amazing. Like, honestly, if you told me he was a heart kid, I would not, if I didn't know any of this, I would not believe you. So our every week checkup was about until like he was probably like a month and a week, or a month and a half kind of, and then it went to every 2 weeks, and we were just having to do weight check-ins at his regular pediatrician. But his EKGs were fine. Did he have that? I think they did one appointment where they x-rayed his lungs just to make sure everything was completely fine. He was good. Like, everything was fine, everything was amazing, everything was working out. And then right after my birthday, we went in for a regular checkup, which was July 22nd, and the first nurse took his oxygen levels, and it was, I think she said it was at 100, which alerted Harley's cardiologist because he's never been at 100. So he got he got another nurse that worked there to do his oxygen levels, and it was at 60. And he waited a while. He did an EKG on him. We did all the regular stuff. He told me that he looked fine. Again, here goes God. Like, here goes God working like he's supposed to. So he comes back in right before he finna leave, and he was like, I don't want to alarm you, but I just don't feel comfortable sending you home. I don't feel comfortable. His oxygen numbers are too, like, high, too low, like they're just on and off. So I'm gonna send you to the hospital. I'm gonna send you to Eggleston. You can go home and pack your stuff. Nothing will happen immediately to him if anything is wrong with him, but pack you an overnight bag, and I'm gonna admit you into the hospital. When I say, because I took him in on my day off, and I started back working July 6th. So I've only been at work a couple of days. And yeah, it's like somebody hit me in the chest. I'm just like, not, because I knew he was gonna have to have the second surgery. But I'm just like, he's doing so good. Like, why does he have to have? Because technically, if a child doesn't have to have, so he didn't have to have his first open heart surgery, like I stated. So then, if it was the regular timeline, a child would have an open heart surgery as soon as they're born, just to put a shunt in his heart to help the blood flow. But his heart created its own, basically, blood flow. Like, it created its own pathway for blood, so he didn't need the shunt. So at like 6-7 months, that's when they do the next surgery, which is the Glenn. So at this time, Harley is 2.5 months. He was born May 11th. This was July 22nd. So it was like too young. So if he's that young, it was a possibility that they were gonna have to do this shunt, and then he was gonna have to come back in 2 months or 2 or 3 months and do the Glenn. So I'm just like, like, I'm just gonna go to this hospital. Everything's gonna work out. His oxygen levels are gonna be fine, and we're gonna go home. So we went home. We told my mom and my dad. Again, nobody knows. We told them. They were just very hopeful. Like, y'all are gonna come back. They prayed over us. And we went to the hospital from there. We got something to eat. Went to the hospital. They plugged him up, and I'm gonna post like videos of him being in the hospital. But they put the oxygen. No. So they monitored him at first, with no oxygen at all, and his oxygen levels kept dropping, and they'll go up and they'll drop really low. Mind you, I said a normal child oxygen levels was probably between 98, 99, 100. His would go low to about 60, and then it'll be back up to his regular amount. And for a heart baby, they would want you to be at 75. So being admitted there that one day, the next day was probably the second worst day of my life, because the first one was them telling me that he had a heart defect. So the next day, they basically were saying, because they ended up putting him on oxygen through the night because it was just so low, like it was so low. So they came in, it was a few doctors doing tests on him. The nurses were like switching out, and they came and spoke to me, and they were like, we're gonna have to go ahead and schedule his surgery. And I was just like, what? Like, all of this happened too quick. There was so many doctors in there, and they were like, we're gonna have to schedule his surgery. Again, I just broke down crying. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Like, I literally just started back working. Mind you, I started this job in March. I went on a whole 7-week maternity leave. I don't have no time to even be here, honestly. But I was cool with my manager, and I told her that we had to get admitted into the hospital. So I was just thinking about work, thinking about my child, thinking about the surgery. I didn't want to have for him to go through one surgery, and then a couple months later he had to go through another surgery. And I was just, again, it's like everything that I gave to God hit me again. I was just like, bro, what do I do? I was bawling, crying. Wayne was trying to console me. The doctors were trying to console me. And I'm just like, ugh. So I called my manager, and I was just like, I can't come in. I can't do it. I explained to her what was going on, and I basically just told her that I wasn't gonna be able to make it in for a couple of weeks. I need a couple of weeks off work. And within that day, I lost my job. I found out my child was gonna have to have heart surgery. And then, I say I lost my job because basically she gave the position to someone else. And then she called me back and said, I can keep you on part-time until August so you can have, like money flow, but you're gonna have to come in. So this was like a Thursday. She was like, you're gonna have to come in on Monday. And I'm like, what? I just told you that my son was gonna have to have heart surgery. I'm not gonna be able to come in on Monday. She was like, I need you to come in. I'm not gonna have anybody to cover you. I just need you to come in. So I talked it over with my husband, my mom, my dad, and they like, Wayne was like, I could be at the hospital. You just go to work so we can at least have like a flow of money, basically. So I was like, okay. So I stayed with him over the weekend. And honestly, it just kept getting worse. Like, his oxygen levels kept dropping. They still had him on oxygen. They were trying to give him more. It was still kind of low. And then I went to work Monday morning. I went into work already like frustrated, kind of, because I'm like, why do I have to be here? And I'm just super jittery because I'm like, Wayne's not updating me, like, what's going on. So I'm probably at work for like 2 hours. Wayne calls me. He's like, I just hear Harley screaming in the background. He's like, hey, we're getting moved to ICU. They had to put Harley under this. They had to sedate him, basically. because every time he would cry, his oxygen levels would drop even lower. So mind you, when I was there, his oxygen levels was probably like in the 60s. Every time he would cry, it would go down to the 30s. And then Wayne was showing me like a video of like them rolling him out the room. And when I say I broke down, I told my manager, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to be at work while my son is laying in the hospital and now in intensive care unit, like the neonatal intensive care unit, sedated. Like, what? I left him, he was fine, he was asleep, I kissed him, I prayed over him, and again, another punch to the chest, because I'm just like, I cannot win. Like, I'm already basically don't have a job, because in August my job is done. My full-time job, full-time assistant manager job in property management, I no longer have that. I'm a part-time leasing agent going from property to property just so I can have health insurance for my child. And it will be done soon. And I have to look for another job. And my child is in the NICU. I left work. I went home and packed us a bag because I just felt like we were going to be there for a while. I packed us a bag. And I went straight to the hospital. Like, I didn't stop nowhere. I went straight back to that hospital. When I got there, my child was basically sedated. He was, I don't know. He was just asleep. I think I have videos to show, but we ended up talking to a nurse and a cardiologist and a surgeon. And they were like, we are going to, this was, I'll put the dates, but this was a couple of days after. So he told me that his surgery was going to be July 28th. I met the surgeon because this was a Monday. It was going to be on like a Wednesday, I believe. Or a Tuesday. But we met the surgeon. We met a man who was going to do everything. He seemed fine. He was just like, I do this every day. I'm going to take great care of your child, blah, 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 blah. So the next morning, we wake up. No, he was supposed to do the surgery the next day. The next morning, we wake up. They let us know that he won't be having the surgery that day. They had to rush a child. They had to flight a child in. And not only will he not be doing the surgery that day, somebody else would be doing the surgery. I'm just like, what? Mind you, my child's still sedated. They still have him under some type of medicine that had him knocked out. Sleep. So, fast forward, they let us know that they're actually going to do it July 29th. So we prayed over him. I stayed in the room with him all because he was in NICU, which we slept in these sleep pods that was at the hospital. You basically had to, it was like a lottery basically. If your child was in the NICU or having surgery, they put your name in like a little lottery and basically you had to be chosen. But we actually got chosen every single day because I guess not that many people, I mean, I guess it wasn't packed because it was during COVID, but not that many people was up there. So we basically stayed at the hospital every single day from July 29th to the day that he was discharged. July 22nd to the day that he was discharged. So we had little sleep pods where it was like a bed and a chair basically in the room. And I stayed in the NICU though because his room was like blocked off and it had like a chair in there that like reclined. So I stayed in there and I laid there right next to him and I watched TV and I prayed over him. And I was just so nervous because anything could happen during surgery. I was just so scared for him. Honestly, I've never had surgery a day in my life, so I was just so scared and nervous, didn't know what to think. At this point, they switched his surgeon, so I still didn't meet like at this point, the nighttime, I didn't meet who was doing his surgery. But I just prayed over him the entire night, and I was just thanking God, because I know everything was gonna work out, because again, he didn't take us this far for it just like to not work out. So in the morning, we were with him all morning. It was just like so nerve-wracking. Me and Wayne was in there, and his surgery was around 11, I want to say. So right before his surgery, we got to meet his surgeon. She came in there, and it was a Indian woman. She was really sweet. I can't pronounce her name, but she was so sweet. She explained everything, super down to earth, and she just was like, I'm gonna take care of your child. Like, I do this every single day. This is my job. Technology has advanced so much. Like, I'm gonna take care of him. And they rolled him out. We followed him down to the operating room, and literally I was like, this is not my life. Like, I'm in a hospital with my baby. Like, he's going into surgery. Like, that is crazy. I met the whole team, like the anesthesiologist and everything. I met the surgeon's assistant. She was just letting me know, like, verifying my number, my name and everything, and she was just like, I'm going to update you. The surgery takes about 5 hours, and I'm gonna update you the entire way. I'm gonna let you know when we put him to sleep. I'm gonna let you know when they start working on him, and I'm just gonna keep you updated. So she was just telling me that, you know, they're gonna put him to sleep first, operate on him, make sure all of his like vitals and everything is fine, because I didn't say this, well, his blood pressure, but his heart pressure was too high. They were going to do the shunt, but if they weren't, they could do the second surgery, which means he didn't have to do it in a couple months. He would have to do the third surgery in a couple of years. So I was just praying that they were able to perform the gland surgery on him, because I didn't want him to have to come back in a few months. So we left out, we said another prayer. I kissed him, Wayne kissed him. My parents came down to the hospital because they weren't able to come in at all. Like, nobody was able to come in except for me and Wayne. They just stayed with us during the whole surgery. They basically try to make it as regular as it could be, as having your child going under the knife could be. We went to go get something to eat. We walked around, we talked, we laughed, we went home. And the entire time, the nurse assistant updated us. As soon as he went down, she was like, we're putting him under. She called me back and told me the blood pressures were fine. They're gonna perform the gland surgery instead of the shunt. They let us know halfway through, doing amazing. She created the blood flow, it's flowing amazing. And then she called me and she was like, we're about to take him into the recovery room. You'll be able to see him in an hour or so. I was just head back here. Got back, my parents dropped us off. We went back up there. He was sedated. He was under all this medicine. And granted, when I was thinking of him having a heart surgery, I thought I was going to be able to see the scar. So I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to feel being able to see like his open chest, and just like, I know he's going to make it through. I know it's going to be an amazing surgery. how am I going to be able to see my 2.5 month, almost 3 month baby, like with his heart, like, I mean, not showing, but like with his chest cut open. When I went in there, he had all these medicines on him, like needles and machines plugged up to him. They have like a vacuum room now. They did it it was just for emergency room patients at first, but now it's for surgery patients. It's like a machine that vacuums your wounds together so it can heal even better. So I just seen that his chest was so swollen, but they had the machine covering it and vacuuming. Basically, it was like sucked up like a vacuum. But still, seeing him under all this stuff, I was just like so overwhelmed. Again, I broke down, just like, and it wasn't sad tears. I was just happy that this part of my life was over. Like, his first surgery was over. He don't have to come back for a couple of years for another surgery. So guys, the recovery process was even harder. We were just trying to get him back to where Harley was before the surgery. Just making sure he's ingesting his milk okay, his formula, making sure that we are weaning him off of oxygen. He's able to breathe in healthy room area, natural air by himself. And then just weaning him off of the medicine. Honestly, we were there. We were out of NICU August 3rd, which was my mom's birthday, and like I said, we were discharged August 7th. So from August 3rd to August 7th, it was just a process of trying to, get him back to where he was. And honestly, this is where Harley's Heart was born. It's just, number one, to tell my son's story, and number two, just to bring awareness around CHDs, period. Yes, Harley has hypoplastic right heart, but honestly, that's not the only rare heart disease that children are born with every single day. And I am going to focus more on hypoplastic right heart because that is what Harley has. But it's just to bring awareness. I want to start doing informational sessions, do social events. We have a couple of small things planned, and then next year I'm looking to plan our first big event, and I'm really excited about that. But I just thank everybody for the encouraging words so far that has watched part 1. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for everything you guys have said and done for my family, for the people that has already donated, because honestly, I have not asked for anything, and I had some people donate already. So I just wanted to share his journey because my son is the strongest person ever, strongest baby ever, and he has a story that he's going to tell, and his life is going to show that God is real. I literally get to see what God promised me every single day when he wakes up, and I'm just so thankful for that. I'm just so thankful for it. And like I said, again, thank you guys, and I'm so glad you're finally a part of our journey. I will be posting shortly the first event that I'll be doing for Harley's Heart, and like I said, it'll be something very small, but something very major for families and children with heart defects. Thank you guys so much. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and love you. Mwah.